So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not gonna lie to you, ladies and gentlemen. Today, folks, I am in a bit of a foul mood. I'm in a pretty bad mood, people. The news of the last few days has been downright disheartening. As you have probably heard by now, on Tuesday afternoon, the Bradley Manning verdict came down. And while Manning wasn't actually convicted of the, quote, aiding the enemy charge, which is positive, that is a positive development that would have automatically meant life in prison. While that aspect was positive, it really overall was not that positive. He was actually found guilty on 5 Espionage Act charges, among other lesser charges, which again, Bradley Manning had already pled guilty to leaking classified information. The aiding the enemy charge, like the Espionage Act charges, were frankly really, really insane. For those of you, we've talked about this before, but the Espionage Act was actually is an arcane law from 1917, and prior to the Obama administration, only 3 people since 1917 have been charged with leaking under the Espionage Act, including the leaker of the Pentagon Papers, Daniel Ellsberg. Well, in the first 5 years of the Obama administration, 7 people have been charged under the Espionage Act. And again, the Espionage Act, when it was passed, is intended to be used for those who actually leak information to a foreign government. Not those who leak information to the press, like Daniel Ellsberg did, like Edward Snowden did, and Edward Snowden's been charged under the Espionage Act as well, like Bradley Manning did, even though many people still do not consider WikiLeaks to be the press, which is, again, another ridiculous argument. Obviously, they are the press. Well, anyway, the sentencing hearing for Bradley Manning has begun. It's going to probably take a couple of weeks, but the possibilities are pretty bad. They're pretty bad. Bradley Manning will at least be in jail for a couple decades, but the truth is he actually faces up to 136 years in prison for what he was convicted on. 136 years minus the 1,274 days he has already been held. I don't think he's going to get much time off for when he was tortured when in solitary confinement. He's certainly not going to get, 130 years off. It's bad. He might get less. He might get a few decades. He might get, we don't know what the judge is really going to do. But there is a very, very real possibility that Bradley Manning will spend the rest of his life in prison, or most of the rest of his life in prison, and that fact sucks. It really, really sucks. It's really horrible. It's disheartening, and it makes me really, really angry. And what makes me, it also makes me really, really angry, not just beyond the fact that this clear whistleblower who exposed war crimes, who exposed unbelievably important stuff to the American people, that makes me really upset. But what makes me also very upset is how I see some people who are supposedly on the left, who are defending this verdict, saying that, hey, people, we are a nation of laws, and Bradley Manning broke the law, so therefore Bradley Manning must be punished because we are a nation of laws. And I gotta tell you, folks, if you haven't thought about this already, I really do think it is high time that we dispel the myth that we are a nation of laws. It's a myth. We are not. We are not a nation of laws. We're supposed to be a nation of laws. It is supposed to be that no one is above the law, that we are governed by laws and not by people, not by men. But the truth is, there's no way you can look at our country and actually believe that we're a nation of laws. We're not. If we were a nation of laws, those who tortured would be in jail. Those who authorized torture would be in jail. If we were a nation of laws, those who did the war crimes that Bradley Manning exposed would be in jail. If we were a nation of laws, countless Wall Street executives who crashed the economy and destroyed countless lives, they would be in jail. If we were a nation of laws, the countless government officials who every single solitary day leak information to the press when it serves them, that happens every single goddamn day. Those government officials would also be in prison along with Bradley Manning. But they're not. They're not. Look, the truth is, officials in the Obama administration and every administration prior to him leak stuff that make them look good to the press every day. Military officials leak stuff, classified stuff to the press that makes them look good all the time. They are not prosecuted because we are not a nation of laws. Again, Manning pled guilty to leaking classified information, and with what he pled prior to this, that would get him, probably about 20 years in jail. And that, frankly, should have been the end of this trial. 20 years. That is a long damn time to spend in prison for being a whistleblower. But it wasn't enough. No, it wasn't. It was not enough. That pleading guilty wasn't enough. They charged him under the Espionage Act. Espionage. That he was a spy. Spying for, I don't know, spying for us, because that's who he leaked it to. He leaked it to us. He leaked it for us. Every single thing that Manning has said, every log, the chat logs you can find prior to his arrest were all about that he wanted the American public to know this information, to know about what we were doing around the world that our government was doing in our name. So he was a spy for the American people against our government, I guess. Again, saying it was espionage when he was exposing war crimes. And he did. He exposed war crimes. Those who committed those war crimes, they're still free. They still walk around as free men today. But the one who exposed them will very likely spend the rest of his life in jail. And that was the message that the Obama administration wanted to send and has frankly sent loud and clear. If you are a whistleblower, you're a traitor. But hey, people on the left, not all people on the left, you know who I'm talking about. People on the left, some of us are saying he had to be prosecuted, he has to go to jail. We're a nation of laws, and Bradley Manning broke the law. My ass, we're a nation of laws. We're not a nation of laws. Speaking of the law, reading from Marjorie Cohn at Truth Out, she wrote this about Manning earlier in the month. Quote, Section 499 of the Army Field Manual states, quote, every violation of the law of war is a war crime, enshrined in the U.S. Army Subject Schedule Number 27-1 is, quote, the obligation to report all violations of the law of war. At his guilty plea hearing, Manning explained that he had gone to his chain of command and was asked them to investigate the collateral murder video and other war porn, but his supervisors refused, end quote. So many people, especially those on the right and the left too, who attack Manning, they don't mention the fact that Manning did in fact take his concerns up the chain of command. They said, there's proper channels that Manning should have followed here. There's a chain of command that he should have gone to. He did. He was ignored. Are those who refused to investigate Manning's evidence, are they on trial? Do they face charges because we're a nation of laws? No. Reading more from Truth Out, quote, The Uniform Code of Military Justice sets forth the duty of a service member to obey lawful orders, but that duty includes the concomitant duty to disobey unlawful orders. In order not to reveal classified information that contains evidence of war crimes would be an unlawful order. Manning had a legal duty to reveal the commission of war crimes. End quote. Bradley Manning had a legal duty and a moral duty to reveal war crimes. He did. And for that, he will probably spend the rest of his life in jail. Because we are a nation of laws. We're a nation of laws. Hell, friend of the show, David Dayan, has a great post up at the American Prospect about how Obama's Justice Department has actually found the time to prosecute two members of the reality show, the friggin' Real Housewives of New Jersey, for mortgage fraud. You probably heard about that, right? You probably heard that because I imagine that the Real Housewives case has already gotten more mainstream media coverage than probably all of the friggin' Bradley Manning coverage combined. Probably Real Housewives gets more coverage combined just a week into this story. But Obama's Justice Department found time to prosecute the Real Housewives of New Jersey, and that's fine. You know, if they committed fraud, they committed fraud. They found the time to prosecute the Real Housewives of New Jersey, but not one bloody Wall Street executive who caused the financial crash, who destroyed the economy, who cost hundreds of thousands of people their homes, who destroyed lives. But we're a nation of law? On the same day, the same damn day, the Manning verdict came in, President Obama was giving a speech about the middle class at an Amazon warehouse, which uses temp workers and treats their employees like garbage. If you don't remember, we actually had Mac McClellan from Mother Jones on about half a year ago talking about this. She actually went undercover and worked at an Amazon warehouse for months. And she described how horrible and deplorable the conditions were at an Amazon warehouse. But that is where President Obama chose to give his great middle class speech, how much he cares about the middle class. So at the same time, Obama is talking about how much he cares about the middle class. You know what else he's doing? Other than, prosecuting, Bradley Manning, whatever. Other than that, at the same time he's talking about the middle class, he is at an Amazon warehouse. He is simultaneously working on resurrecting the grand bargain. He's doing that right now. He is working on resurrecting the grand bloody bargain again, where he is offering cuts to Medicare and Social Security again, while lying and saying how much he loves the middle class and how the middle class is the backbone of America, lying about that. He cares so much about the middle class, he's proposing lowering the corporate tax rate. Because the problem is corporations they're just paying too much in taxes. Because we're a nation of laws, with laws that already allow the biggest corporations to pay nothing in taxes. Speaking of laws, this week, Glenn Greenwald at The Guardian has even more NSA revelations on a program called X-Keyscore. We're reading from The Guardian, which, quote, allows analysts to search with no prior authorization through vast databases containing emails, online chats, and the browsing histories of millions of individuals, according to documents provided by whistleblower Edward Snowden. End quote. Whistleblower Edward Snowden, who has also been charged with espionage. Remember the whole thing when Snowden said that he could wiretap anyone from his desk? This is what he was talking about. And people called him a liar. Politicians called him a liar. The administration, some people on the left called him a liar, saying you can't do that. That's not possible. Well, they actually now have the files that show that and prove that. They're up at The Guardian. You can look at them yourselves. Reading on from The Guardian, the files claim, quote, the program covers nearly everything a typical user does on the internet, including the content of emails, websites visited, and searches, as well as their metadata. Analysts also use Keyscore and other NSA systems to obtain ongoing real-time interception of an individual's internet activity, end quote. So let me ask, will anyone from the NSA go to jail for spying on Americans? Will anyone who authorized the massive spying on American citizens, will they be held responsible because we are a nation of laws? Hell, as we've talked about many times before, the head of national intelligence, James Clapper, lied to Congress earlier this year in talking about the NSA. Lying to Congress, that is against the law. Has James Clapper been prosecuted? Have charges been filed against James Clapper? Has he at least been fired from his job? Of course he hasn't. You know why? Because we are not a nation of laws. It'd be one thing if all of those evil people we mentioned, the torturers, the war criminals, the Wall Street criminals, James Clapper, it'd be one thing if all of those individuals had faced justice. If they had faced justice, then, all right, maybe you could come to me and say, look, Bradley Manning technically broke the law, and we are a nation of laws, so therefore he must face justice and go to jail. And again, he did not commit espionage. He didn't commit espionage, but he pled guilty to leaking classified information. That would be one thing. If all of that happened, that would be one thing. But it hasn't, and you know it hasn't. So until that day comes, I have no patience, zero patience with anyone on the air quotes left that thinks that Bradley Manning got what he deserved because we are a nation of laws. We'll be right back.